Since 2010, there has been a drastic rise in the number of individuals leaving cities and suburban regions in order to start over in rural areas, producing their own water and electricity, and making the most of the available local resources. Off-grid living has several advantages, including energy conservation, lower living expenses, and a stronger sense of connection to the environment, even if it can be difficult and requires environmental learning. Today, we'll look into the future of Earthship, the technology that inspires the most eco-friendly houseplants. Something is happening in New Mexico. As anybody who has visited Taos knows, a new type of off-grid home called the Earthship has taken root. Quite literally, in America's southwestern corner, long home to some of the country's more progressive and sustainability-oriented communities. The Earthship is an architectural idea devised by American eco-architect Michael Reynolds that focuses on radical sustainability while designing a dwelling. It is built into the soil and designated as such. In other words, when it comes to recycling garbage and creating renewable energy, these buildings are among the most self-contained in the world. An Earthship is often a long, elongated construction that integrates the landscape around it into its design. It will often have south-facing windows and solar panels or wind turbines to provide sustainable energy, as well as many planters and water storage and irrigation systems on the interior. Reynolds has created 6 fundamental design guidelines for Earthships since initially proposing the concept in the 1970s. The first is to construct with natural and repurposed resources, such as old tires packed around with soil or mud. Reynolds writes on his website that there are approximately 2.5 billion discarded tires stacked in the United States alone, making them available as building materials. Before we continue, if you would like to learn more about future infrastructure and construction megaprojects around the world, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos. The second option is to employ thermal or solar heating and cooling systems, so Earthships may naturally heat up or cool down depending on the weather without consuming electricity to do so. Each living room is encircled on 3 sides by insulating bulk, while the south side is lined with windows to allow the sun in. This mass collects heat throughout the day and then spontaneously releases it at night and in the evening when the ambient temperature falls below that of the stored wall. The sun stays high in the sky during the summer, and the structure keeps as cool as the land surrounding it. The next 2 self-explanatory aspects of Earthship design are the utilization of solar and wind energy, as well as gathering water from rainfall and snowfall on the Earthship's roof, while the 5th is sewage collection. Any spent water that is clear of feces, affectionately known as gray water, is sent to plants around the area and collected to be utilized for flushing the toilet. Reynolds adds that 40% of regular domestic water consumption is for flushing. Finally, cultivating one's own food is essential to Earthship existence, and Reynolds' own business is said to have invented micro-hydroponic planters for use in vertical space that produces harvests of herbs, peppers, tomatoes, kale, beets, cucumbers, and other vegetables. Earthships can resemble apocalyptic shelters, or they can resemble extremely, really old dwellings. Imagine the flagstone and earth Neolithic buildings found on Skara Brae, but fashioned of reused tires. And you're halfway there. That makes sense considering that the people who constructed Skara Brae 5,000 years ago did not have central heating or air conditioning. Of course, technology has evolved to the point that Earthships are not only inexpensive and sustainable but also completely pleasant, according to Reynolds. While Reynolds' early Earthships were made of garbage, such as steel or tin cans, the concept and technology behind them have improved dramatically since the 1970s. It's also worth mentioning that, while the walls are still made of tires and compacted soil, they can be covered with decking or paneling on the inside and then painted or papered. You won't feel like you're living in a burrow in an Earthship. Similarly, while the first and most well-known Earthships are in New Mexico, which is reasonably warm and dry all year, Reynolds has worked on Earthship projects all over the world, adjusting them to each region. The first Earthship in the UK was erected in Fife, Scotland, in 2004, and there are now others in Brighton, Belgium, France, the Netherlands, and other parts of mainland Europe. Indeed, while the entire enterprise is based on the ethos of simple low-impact living, Nothing Reynolds proposes in his housing concept is innovative, except, perhaps, the idea that we should remember how our forefathers managed to live perfectly comfortable lives by naturally regulating the heat of their homes. We can do it if they can. Rubber tires, glass or plastic bottles, and aluminum or steel soda cans are among the natural and recycled building materials utilized for the interior and exterior walls. The typical Earthship makes use of 500 to 5,000 tires packed with dirt to provide thermal mass and eliminate the requirement for a concrete base. To build interior walls, an earthen plaster is made from sifting mud, sand, chopped straw, and water. Water is collected on the roof from rain and snow and directed through silt catches before flowing into underground cisterns. This water will be recycled 4 times over its life for various applications throughout the house. Gravity flows water from cisterns into a water organizing module, which then pumps the water into a pressure tank and filters and cleans it for bathing, cleaning, and drinking. It is filtered and cleaned again before being used to produce plants and food in the inside botanical cells. The third life cycle is employed for toilet flushing. Finally, toilet water is collected, purified, and reused in outside botanical cells. Water that has been filtered from gray and black water is used to produce food both indoors and outdoors. Indoor farming not only produces the freshest, most regional vegetables possible, but also helps to make the air that people breathe cleaner. Food can be grown indoors all year due to the pleasant temperature maintained by the natural heating and cooling systems, saving the residents money on packaged food and other store-bought goods. Electricity is generated by a prefabricated wind and solar power system, stored in golf cart-like batteries, and then distributed to electrical outlets. Because of the passive solar and thermal mass architecture, no power is required for heating and cooling the dwelling. In indoor and outdoor treatment cells, all domestic sewage, black and gray water is trapped, utilized, and reused. Without damaging water aquifers, sewage treatment offers water for toilet flushing, gardening, and food cultivation. You may take part by signing up for the Earthship Biotecture Academy, which will be available this summer, or by volunteering to restore one of the buildings. 62 hours of classroom instruction, on-site fieldwork, and an independent study are required of students in this 2-month training program, which is completed in dormitories. For the ultimate eco-vacation, you may hire one of these homes for an evening starting at $120 per night if you want to experience an authentic Earthship. We hope that this motivates you to make further little or large changes in your daily life to guarantee that each and every choice you make has a productive influence on the planet we all share. Do you anticipate visiting the Earthship soon? Please share your thoughts in the comments area below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.